If we look at whales and hippos, we might not see any similarities at all. Whales are marine mammals with sleek, elongated bodies, no hind legs, and a perfect adaptation for swimming in the ocean. Meanwhile, hippopotamuses are large, barrel-shaped, even-toed ungulates that live in shallow waters and walk confidently on land. But the incredible truth is that whales and hippos are actually relatives. They share a common ancestor from tens of millions of years ago, and their evolutionary journey is one of the most fascinating pieces of evidence showing just how full of surprises our world truly is. Going back about 50 to 60 million years, the Earth was undergoing a major transformation. After the mass extinction that wiped out the dinosaurs, mammals began to spread and adapt to various ecosystems. During that time, there was a creature that seemed rather unremarkable. It was a four-legged animal of medium size, resembling a modern-day wild boar or deer. This unassuming animal was the common ancestor of both whales and hippos. Paleontologists have discovered fossils of a creature called Indohyus, which lived in South Asia. This fossil has several features linking it to aquatic animals. Although it had four legs like typical land mammals, its bones were denser than those of most land animals, an important characteristic of creatures that spend a lot of time in the water. This was the first piece of evidence suggesting that the ancestors of both whales and hippos were once semi-aquatic animals. Over time, the descendants of Indohyus began to split into two groups. One group gradually adapted to life in water, with their hind legs becoming smaller and their skull and jawbones evolving to hunt prey in deep waters. These animals became the ancestors of modern whales. Meanwhile, the other group chose a semi-aquatic lifestyle, eventually evolving into the hippos we see today. Early whales were very different from the ones we know today. One of the most famous fossils is Pachycetus, an ancient whale that still had hind legs and could walk on land. However, its ears were already adapted for hearing underwater. Not long after, early whales began developing features better suited for an aquatic lifestyle. A creature known as Ambulocetus, often called the walking whale, had a longer body and legs that started to resemble webbed feet. These animals could swim well, but still had to surface for air. As millions of years passed, whales eventually lost their hind legs entirely. Their spines evolved to allow for more efficient movement in water, and they ultimately became the fully aquatic marine mammals that dominate the oceans today, such as blue whales, orcas, and modern dolphins. Hippos, on the other hand, still live both on land and in water, but they share many traits with whales. Hippos can hold their breath underwater for up to 5 minutes. Their eyes and nostrils are positioned on top of their heads, allowing them to see and breathe while mostly submerged, similar to how whales function in water. Most notably, hippos do not have sweat glands like typical land mammals. Instead, they secrete a substance known as blood sweat, which helps protect their skin from the sun and infections. But the strongest evidence confirming the relationship between whales and hippos comes from genetic studies. Scientists have analyzed the DNA of various mammals and discovered that whales and hippos are more closely related to each other than to any other even-toed ungulates, such as cows, sheep, or pigs. This means that hippos are not as closely related to other land animals as they are to whales. What's fascinating is that hippos and whales share certain traits that are not found in typical even-toed ungulates. For example, they give birth in the water, and their mammals nurse their young underwater. These unique characteristics highlight that both animals share a common ancestor. The story of whales and hippos is a remarkable example of evolution and serves as evidence that nature is constantly changing and adapting. The life forms we see today have much more complex backstories than we often realize. Even though whales live in the vast ocean and hippos dwell in shallow waters in Africa, they are in fact relatives that originated from a common ancestor. This is what makes the study of evolution so exciting, because it shows us that all life on Earth is interconnected. No matter how different the animals may seem, they might share an astonishing connection we never expected. Thank you for listening to our story today. I hope you gained a new perspective on the natural world. See you next time.